back to For Real. It's Wednesday, and this week we're sharing the news with you from Siem Reap, Cambodia. To celebrate our return, today's news motto is more of a news walko. Jeremy went out on foot early this morning to bring you today's footage. Before we get started though, a very quick reminder about Siem Reap Food Bank's support of the group of older women who were living in the Angkor Archaeological Park and have had to move because of the Apsara ruling on the number of illegal structures allowed in the park. Their alternative place to live is just a patch of dirt with no services connected. The 6 women are too old to work and they need a bit of extra support. The link is in the description if you'd like to offer them some support directly yourself. We'd like to give a special mention to some people who watch our videos and we were fortunate enough to meet since arriving here in Siem Reap. So a big hello to Dave and Kay, and also to Kim, Nick and Andrea. It was wonderful to see you here in the kingdom. Wherever you are though, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Please also like and comment as it really helps. Today is Wednesday the 16th of November, and in this episode we will look at the ASEAN summit recently held in Colombia and see what happened to the Cambodian delegation for the G20. A beer dispute ends in gunfire, and the road dividers in Phnom Penh risk their lives for your safety. There are drug smugglers and some new boats on the Tonle Sap as well. The number one news item is that in our last video I made a mistake with the price of the cell card plan. No, it's not $7 for 35 days and 40 gig of data, it's actually only $6. The extra dollar is the cost of the SIM, so it really is an amazing deal. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. The ASEAN summit, other related summits, and our return dominated the news this week and caused some massive traffic jams in Phnom Penh. Hosted in Phnom Penh, the summit turned the attention of the world on Cambodia. Or was it Colombia? Hosting the summits showcased the potential of Cambodia to the world, though. Hundreds of journalists from all over the world were in Phnom Penh to cover the summit, and they also provided some great coverage for the kingdom. It is hoped that the reopening of the country in November 2021 and the hosting of the ASEAN summits has allowed Cambodia to demonstrate its capacity to do business with the world. It is an opportunity for Cambodia to fast forward its economy, especially in the fields of tourism, accommodation and hospitality that was severely affected by COVID-19. Post-COVID-19 pandemic recovery, security issues and rising global inflation were high on the agenda during the ASEAN summit. Also discussed were the post-pandemic economic recovery efforts, security issues such as the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the Korean Peninsula, rising global oil and food prices, and climate change. Phnom Penh authorities took the opportunity to clean up the riverside and river in advance of the ASEAN summit. The Deputy Governor of Phnom Penh led a joint team to collect garbage along the river to improve the aesthetics and hygiene of the environment as Cambodia prepared for the meetings. Hopefully this can become a regular event to improve the environment and hygiene for all Cambodian citizens. Our Only in Cambodia story for the week involves the ASEAN summit, so here goes. The Ministry of Health announced that ambulances would not be allowed to sound their sirens during the ASEAN summit in Phnom Penh. The Ministry of Health issued a notice to public and private hospitals to ban ambulances from sounding their sirens on the road during the summit. The ministry said it was to avoid disruption to the security, order and traffic authorities on duty. Not everything went smoothly at the summit though. The media at some of the meetings ran into a few problems. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Information said that on the first day of the meeting there was a shortage of food for journalists, with more than a dozen national and international journalists registered to cover the event, which had about 1,790 people in attendance. Luckily, the issue was resolved the next day with the biggest NAM24 order ever placed. Another problem was that some international journalists behaved unprofessionally as they violated the privacy of the leaders of certain countries, especially by taking pictures in prohibited areas, although hopefully not in the toilets. This case was also cleaned up efficiently, just like a high-pressure bum gun. From the ASEAN summits to the G20 summit now. Prime Minister Hun Sen announced that he tested positive for COVID-19 whilst in Indonesia for the G20 summit. The PM made his announcement via Facebook and said that the Cambodian delegation would return to Cambodia. He stated, "Dear compatriots, now I test positive for COVID-19. Before leaving Cambodia, I tested every day, especially before departure. I quickly tested again before boarding the plane, but did not see anything. I'm not sure when the virus came to me, but what was clear when I arrived at the Indonesian hospital in the evening and in the morning confirmed the positive COVID-19 result that we must recognise even in ourselves. For the safety of the delegates attending the meeting, all Cambodian delegates returned immediately to Cambodia. As for the representatives of the ASEAN countries, negotiations were made to hand them over to Indonesia. This week marks Cambodia's 69th year of independence from France. To mark the occasion, King Norodom Sihamoni lit the victory flame at the Independence Monument in Phnom Penh, which will be kept burning for 3 days. High-ranking officials participated in a ceremony with a crowd of Phnom Penh residents and students in attendance. Foreign ambassadors to Cambodia were also present. Delegations from different government ministries and institutions took turns to lay wreaths at the Independence Monument and the royal statue of the late King Father Norodom Sihanouk. A fireworks display took place in front of the royal palace to make the celebration more joyful. 2 men, ignorant of the danger of a UXO, were injured when they attempted to cut it apart to sell the metal casing, causing an explosion. The incident occurred in Phnom Penh, and the injured were identified as a 31-year-old and a 40-year-old male. According to witnesses at the scene, one of the men placed a 60mm mortar shell on the ground and attempted to cut it apart with an axe. When they struck the mortar, it caused a loud explosion, which seriously injured the man and another man who was nearby. Apparently the device had been found by the man earlier. The 2 victims are recovering in hospital. It's a very sad but a timely reminder to be respectful of explosive ordnance. Also in Phnom Penh, though, a confrontation between a beer seller and her customers has led to gunfire. Police said the gunmen were 2 males aged 34 and 37. Police confirmed the female victim was selling beer and one of the suspects bought 12 cans of beer from her to drink at the house of the other suspect. The man did not pay for the beer and said that he would pay later. He then returned to the beer shop later that night to purchase more cans. Upon being asked to pay his outstanding bill, the suspect shouted at the victim, "I have never owed you any money." He then produced a handgun and fired several shots, alarming the beer seller and her customers. Police arrived at the scene and the men fled but were quickly picked up by police and taken to the administrative police station. A 20-year-old Cambodian man who returned to the kingdom is rueing his decision after he was busted for meth. The man was arrested in Kampong Cham and taken to the provincial police headquarters. He was arrested in possession of 40 packs of crystal meth, as the lovely 40 in this table of shame shows. Police were shocked and surprised to find over 200 kilograms of illegal narcotics when they investigated a late-night car crash earlier this week. Authorities had been called to what seemed like a routine smash along National Road 1. According to sources, a Nissan had swerved and collided with a Toyota Prius and a Honda CR-V, causing severe damage. The Nissan driver fled the scene. When police arrived at the scene and examined the Nissan, they discovered the 200 kilos of drugs in the car. Authorities are now investigating to arrest the perpetrators and punish them according to the law. A foreign national suspected of being drunk smashed into public property on a major Phnom Penh road. The incident happened along Monavong Boulevard at the corner of Street 310 in Phnom Penh. The man was driving a Lexus RX 400H car at high speed and oversteered, finally being stopped by a road divider, causing severe damage both to his vehicle and, unfortunately, the poor divider. The man then fled, leaving a scene of chaos behind him. After the crash, authorities quickly intervened to remove the vehicle. Now it's time for the Night of the Jaguar. A luxury Jaguar car caused chaos in Phnom Penh after smashing into a trailer and injuring 4 people. The incident took place on Street 598. According to witnesses, the car was travelling at excessive speed and the driver lost control, smashing into the trailer. After the incident, the police arrived at the scene, collected evidence, and the injured victims were sent to hospital for treatment. The police were stroking the suspect and are hopeful they can pounce and make the arrest shortly. Based on the latest weather forecast from the Ministry of Water Resources and Meteorology, or MAURAM, Cambodia is heading for another week of rain, despite the water festival being the traditional end of rainy season. MAURAM stated that Cambodia will be affected by the intersection of a low-pressure system over the South China Sea and a high-pressure system from China. Temperatures are still very high around the kingdom, with maximums still hitting well into the 30s. Let's hope for a cool change soon. Now to a good news story. A non-government organisation, or NGO, which is what they call charities here, has come forward to donate boats that will make commuting easier for students of 3 provinces living in floating houses on Tonle Sap Lake. The provinces include Battambang, Siem Reap, Banteay Meanchey, and they will each receive 12 boats, of which 2 will serve as mobile libraries, while the other 10 will be used to ferry children to and from school. Battambang became the first province to receive the boats provided by Aid to Action last week. The director of Battambang Provincial Department of Education said that more than 10 schools will benefit from the boats that are worth $1,500. The boats provided are very important as they will increase enrolment, reduce dropouts, and accelerate efforts to reduce educational challenges faced by students in the region, he said. That brings us to the end of this week's news. You're now up to date with all of the most important events in the kingdom. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, have a great week, and we'll see you very soon.